money. You already have an engineering plan that you all spent about $1 million on. Let's get some of the details, kind of visually, what we would see with the $41 million renovation.
Right. Yes, well, you know as well as a lot of people in the town that we've needed more seats in there, that we sell out so rapidly for the rodeo when the tickets go on sale. And our mission was just to add general seating to the Coliseum, and we needed more seating. We knew we couldn't do a brand new one because you're talking $300–400 million just to get a 7,000 at this point in time. So we hired that engineer to come in to look at the Coliseum to see if it's good enough to renovate. And they came back and said it was. It has really good bones because it's mainly made out of concrete, you know, and back then the concrete was a lot stronger than it is now that's made. But we were able to accomplish the goal of getting at least 8,000 general seats into the Coliseum. And then after that, the architect came in and said you could put skyboxes on top of these for around $20,000 a box, because you can't put any more general seating, but you could have a box that goes further back to where you can put more people in there. So when you look at the 8,000 and the sky boxes, it's going to put us over 10,000 seats for the $41 million.
Which would about double capacity, yes. Jimmy. And one of those drawings shows kind of that inner arena railing of seating for box seats, which was increased. Correct?
Yes, yeah, the box seats will stay the same. The main thing we're going to try to do is get a better seat in those where you have more leg room.
You're right.
Yeah, so that was one thing when they put those big cushion seats in there, it took away all the leg room, and so people that are over 6 foot tall have trouble in rows 2, 3, and 4, and 5.
Oh, I know. I know all about that. Tell us about some of the other details of a major renovation like this.
Well, I've heard people say, well, you know, it's slapping lipstick on a pig, and that's the farthest from the truth. This is like taking a beautiful home in Santa Rita, taking it down to its bones, and then bringing it back to life in a much better shape.
Wonderful location.
The restrooms, we're going from 50 stalls to 250. The urinals are, you know, like 100 urinals, 250 lavatories. It's just, and that's what I want people to understand about concessions, the fan experience, improving quality of life when you go out there, literally. And so it's going to be wonderful. And just so the handicap access, you know, so many more people can go and they can have their caregiver with them. So it's really going to be not just the more seats double, but the whole fan experience, whether it's rodeo concerts, trade shows, whatever the comes to town, we can facilitate that.
Well, and let's talk about that, Casey and Corey, about outside of the Rodeo Association. I think voters are concerned about what the Coliseum would be used for, which is a legitimate question.
Yes, and I think that's what's been missing, is that we have a great rodeo and then it sits empty for the rest of the year. And our plan is to bring venues back, bring concerts back, bring things for the kids. You know, I have 3 daughters, and they would love to go out and see Disney on Ice or concerts. And so this renovation will allow us to have venues. We'll be able to bring it back and make something that San Angelo's proud of.
And I think another important part is that we will be running the Coliseum. Like right now, we manage all of the other buildings out there except the Coliseum. And the city wants us to manage the Coliseum if this renovation comes. So what do they get in return? They're going to get $2 a ticket for every ticket that's sold or gone in through there.
Bring that up. Let's talk about that for a second. So pending city council approval, some of that hot money, the hot funding, the hotel occupancy tax would be transferred over to the Stock Show Association. Give us an idea about how that would work.
Well, I don't know if we're going to get much hot tax. They're just promising that they'll have the money to do the construction, and then we're going to be on the hook to run the Coliseum, to
for operation expenses
to come in, and operations expenses
and maintenance, which is a big
and that's
deal.
A big deal. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And then the major things the city would help with.
Any overages we're going to take care of. So the city, I mean, once past the bond money, we're going to take care of everything else if there's anything that comes along.
Let's say that again very succinctly, because I think that's an important point.
Yeah, so if the renovation ends up being $45 million, the association has to pay the overage from $41 million. So, and like right now, we have been doing sharing on all of the bills. If there is anything that breaks down, maintenance right now, and that will stay the same, but we will just be running the Coliseum.
You know, and this is not something that you all have come up with just recently. This is something that's been in the works for years.
Yeah, we've actually gone and met many years ago, 10 years ago probably, and looked at a similar venue in another town that has a rodeo, and have been planning this for years. And it's just a process that has taken some time, and we're hopeful at this point now that we've got what we need to go to move forward in the bond.
You know, speaking of time, the hours, just the number of hours that all the tickets sell out for the entire run of the rodeo now.
Oh yeah, it was just in a few hours that, you know, sold. After our season tickets got theirs, and then we put all of the tickets on sale. I mean, you're talking, after season tickets, you're talking like 600 seats per night, and it was sold out within just a couple hours.
All right, let's talk about some of the costs, again, like we did with the school administration people, about to property taxpayers. Again, they want to look at the numbers annually and monthly. What is the average increase for a San Angelo property tax?
Well, so it depends on what your average price of your house. I think what they've been using is an average house of $125,000, and that would be a $4 a month. But realistically, like a $300,000 home is going to look like it's $7 a month.
Which would come out to whatever 70 plus 14 is 84, about a little more than $80 a year.
That's right.
And then what is it about the 65 and over that we keep hearing about too, as far as property tax increases?
As long as they've homesteaded, their taxes will not increase. They're frozen.
So that's an important thing to remember.
Yes.
For sure.
All right, let's talk too now about, we've gone over costs for property owners and then kind of some of the details of it. There's also a question about what would happen if the $41 million Coliseum renovation bond is not approved. Who can tell us about what that would mean for the future?
Well, I will tell you that just in the last 5 years, because so many people are so aggravated that they cannot get a ticket, that losing. And you can look at, I talked about it today with the interview, the Super Bowl that's down in Del Rio. Years ago, that was one of the biggest, hottest tickets that you could buy. They never put anything into that facility, and now it's 20% of what it used to be. And the Coliseum is 70 years old. It's been touched one time. I've been there for 18 years, hasn't been touched at all since then. I mean, it still has the original tile in the bathroom and stuff. I mean, it needs maintenance. It needs to be rejuvenated for our young people that are coming in so they keep interest.
But what happens if it's not approved? Can it come back on the ballot?
Several years.
Okay.
3 years.
Yeah.
Give us the reasoning behind all of that.
That's I guess state law, and so that we can't bring it. They can't.
So what are you looking at if you have $41 million now? What are you looking at 3 years down the road?
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you know, costs have already increased, and so we would love to build a new facility and just have a brand new facility, but that's not the case. We're trying to bring a cost-effective way to meet the city, our objective to make something that San Angelo is proud of. And our goal, you know, this was built in the 1950s. Our goal is to let this Coliseum, let us, you know, have this for the next 50, 60 years. And something that we can be proud of, that brings economic activity to San Angelo, brings something for the citizens to do throughout the year, not just during rodeo, and something that, you know, provides vibrancy, quality of life for all of our citizens.
You all have received several endorsements from several organizations, including the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce. Jimmy, what does that mean?
It's huge. It's huge because they know what it will do to our economic activity. The things that we can bring to town, again, more people to our rodeo, more events, concerts, trade shows, Disney on Ice, things like that we can put people in hotels and restaurants here.
Things that we can't host right now at this point. Just, you know, there are all sorts of large-scale meetings, conventions, and so forth, that we don't have a facility to be able to accommodate that with breakout rooms and those sorts of things.
Yeah, give us some details on that. I thought that was interesting.
So there will be the opportunity to do more of those things in a newly renovated venue, and we will have the room for breakout sessions. Obviously, enhanced. You know, all the electrical, plumbing will all be new. Concessions, etc. So it will allow us to attract those larger events that will bring more revenue to the city.
Tell us about whether you all, kind of where you are at what point with your engineering plans, which you all spent $1 million on again, and again have been working on this for several years. In essence, you could start pretty soon.
Yeah,
correct?
we're hoping to deliver a shovel-ready project, and so that we can begin, because, you know, as the rodeo goes, we know when it's going to be next year, and we want to get as much as we can get done as quick as possible. So we believe that we have a shovel-ready project.
Well, give us a timeline.
The plans are, like, if it passes, if the bond passes, they would start building and do all of the outside work first, and go. Every event that would happen in the Coliseum throughout the year will still happen. The rodeo will happen, and as soon as the rodeo's over with, then they would go inside and do all the renovations.
I'm going to get you to say that again, too, so we can visualize that during the whole year.
Yeah, 2 years it'll take to complete, but all of the first year we'll be doing everything outside, so we can still have the rodeo and have other events in throughout the year. And then once the rodeo happens and it's over, then they break in the inside and do all of the total renovation inside, and then we'll be ready for the next rodeo.
What about parking? Is there any change to the parking in the plan that you have?
That was my daughter's first question. So.
Yeah, that's a great question. Fortunately, we have some land out there that has already been prepared. We've, you know, back whenever we used to host the stock show and the rodeo at the same time, we would have 10,000-15,000 people out there on a day. Right. And so we have the parking, some extra parking that the association has acquired to be able to handle the increase.
Where exactly in relation to the Coliseum?
So it would be to the north and the east
toward the Spur Arena.
Toward the Spur Arena. We have parking behind the carnival on the north end of the fairgrounds, and then there's also some parking adjacent to the Angelo State Rodeo.
Which used to be the old Bly Arena. Everybody knows that as the Bly Arena.
Right.
Would you have to move the where you keep the stock now for the rodeo, the rough stock? Would you have to move those pins, or would they stay where they are?
No, they would stay there. And also on the other side of Lakeview Stadium, there's a big vacant land that we use that overflow, but that will be made into a nicer park.
Wow, that is, so you guys have it all planned out. All right, we can, just a few more minutes now, wrapping up. Looking at current and then future, say 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, benefits, and I'll ask each of you, of a Coliseum, San Angelo Coliseum renovation. Casey, let's start with you.
Well, I think it's something that, from economic activity, you know, people come from all over to our rodeo. We have something that we're really proud of. We compete with Houston, San Antonio, and Fort Worth, and think of the size of those cities. And you know, I have people that come in to visit, and they're coming back to a real rodeo. And the production that we put on for the rodeo itself is great. For the stock show, we can have events during the stock show now. We have kids from all 254 counties that come in. And what a great economic booster that is, not only for San Angelo, but for ASU. Those kids get to come see what San Angelo's about. And those are the future leaders of this nation. When you have 4-H and FFA kids coming from all over the state, we want to put our best foot forward for them.
All right, Joe, Justin, quick note.
I just want to say that our neighbors want what we have. San Angelo has something special. It is a rodeo town. I don't care what anybody says. It is, and it was built on Western heritage. Abilene has put over $300 million in their fairgrounds because they want what we have. We don't want them to take it.
All right, thank you, Justin, Jimmy, Corey, and Casey. Thank you all so much. We want to remind everybody, early voting tomorrow at the Edby Keys Building. That's the final day. Election Day is May 3rd. Thanks for joining us.